Hi, beautiful mama. It's no secret that mom life isn't easy. But what if it didn't have to be so hard? What if you knew that everything is working for you and that you could trust the universe and lean into the support and infinite wisdom that's available to you? Today, on the Selfcare Mom podcast, I'm joined by Murielle Fellous as she shares how she has found joy in motherhood and life by co-parenting with and trusting in the universe. The simple yet powerful processes in this episode will help you to let go of what you can't control and lean into love. Let's get started. Hi, Muriel. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
So we were just chatting about your children. You have a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 23-year-old. And I would love to hear more about your parenting journey. Could you share a bit about that with us?
Yes, of course. So as you going to hear, I'm from France originally, but I settled in the United States about 20 years ago. And I ended up having to raise my kids alone for the past about 14 years as a single mom. And everything was okay until, it's always challenging, but I was managing. I had the impression that I was in control of everything. And when they hit teenagehood, especially the last two, that's when everything changed, because from feeling that I was in control and managing everything, I realized that we don't really control anyone, and especially not teenagers. So some of my kids started to act out in ways that could have been potentially very, very dangerous and self-destructive. And I started slowly spiraling into negative emotions and finding myself into depression without even realizing it, because at the time I was coaching on dating, and I've been coaching people for a long time. And I always have been a pretty positive person, and I did not see it coming. I was like, I could remember waking up at night with scenarios of horror in my mind, like, the worst case scenario. And I was so stressed by the fear that something could happen to them and I couldn't control that. And they wouldn't necessarily listen to me completely, because they are teenagers and they have impulse control at this age and they feel invincible. It was very difficult. I was also facing some health challenge, so I was more tired than usual. And I found myself wishing that I would just disappear, because I didn't feel that I had what it took to manage all that. I didn't feel that I could protect them. And it really lasted a few months until I realized that I was depressed and I was in depression. And I accepted that that's what was going on. So at that point, a friend of mine told me to go see a doctor and get some antidepressants. And I refused. I said, listen, I'm a coach. I'm going to try to use the tools that I'm actually teaching other women to bounce back from that. Because what happened is that I also fell out of my regular practices. I was so stressed. I am someone who absorb all the emotions of people around me, the energy around me. And if I don't meditate daily, I'm in trouble. And I had stopped this daily practice of meditation and journaling and affirmations. And it really ended up costing me a lot, because I found myself in a place where I felt powerless. So I decided to apply my own, I wouldn't say it's not a method, but process. And as it's funny how life works with us, the universe works with us. When you make a decision, you're going to be presented with all the tools and the awareness to be able to follow up on that decision and to really act on what you just intend. And I remember waking up one night in tears because I realized that I didn't like my life. And to me, that's something that I knew for a long time already, but I could not admit that to myself because I had such a judgment about that. Since I was a mother and my kids were healthy and everything was quote unquote fine, I didn't feel that I had the right to not love my life. So in a way, if I said that I didn't love my life, it meant that I didn't really love my kids, because what mother who has kids who are perfectly well, happy and healthy would say that she didn't love her life? So that night I woke up and I saw the paradox, because sometimes we can carry paradoxes inside of us. On one side, not loving that, but on the other side, loving my kids. And when I let myself see and accept that, it was already the beginning of healing. The next stage was to become really, really aware in the moment of all the thoughts that did not serve me, like those thoughts of what's going to happen to them, it's going to be horrible. I had to learn to intervene on these thoughts. And I was forced, I already trusted life, but not enough. And I was forced to go fully into trusting that the same infinite intelligence that guided me and helped me every time I asked for a solution or anything that I needed was really given to me, even if it was in a form of go and learn that, get a teacher, or exercise more, eat better. It was always given to me as guidance. I had to accept that that guidance that I was receiving was also available for them, and accept that I could not protect them 100%, but there was something else protecting them. And I even went very, very deep into it with the fact that if, God forbid, in this life I was meant to lose a child, then there was nothing I could do. So I might as well focus on the moment and really being in trust that everything would be okay and not deal with stuff that would never happen. And that's how I went back to being myself. And that has been so painful that I decided to switch the direction of my business from mainly coaching women on dating to coaching single moms, because I knew the pain. I know how it feels to feel confused, to feel powerless, to feel afraid, guilty, and, all those nasty emotions. I mean, they're necessary, but bathing into them is unhealthy and it drags you toward depression or in direction of the bottom. So that's my story, short version of my story.
Oh, yes. So that was one thing that got me really excited for our chat today, was the way you described trusting in the universe and co-parenting with the universe. So could you explain what you mean when you say trusting in the universe or co-parenting with the universe?
Yes. We are, my belief is that we are energy. We are, you can call it a soul in a body. And we each have access to that, and we are linked, we are connected to the universe, to God, to a field of infinite love and infinite intelligence. The problem is that, first of all, if we don't know it, we can't really harvest the fruits of that guidance and that wisdom. And second, if you are in an emotional state that is hectic, like fear, guilt, confusion, powerlessness, all those very intense negative emotions, will activate a stress response in your body, and you won't be able to really be centered and clear and access that guidance. So the first stage for me is really to try to, when a negative emotion arises, understand the message behind that emotion. Because, for example, anger, when you experience anger, very often that means that a boundary was crossed, either your own boundary that you put with yourself, or a boundary that you put with someone else who decided to cross. So take notice of that and start really thinking about what you can do better so that it doesn't happen again. And once you take notice, you get the message, you process that emotion, move out of this state. And for that, I don't know if you're familiar with the emotional freedom technique, tapping. Yes. So I use a lot of tapping, both in my life and with my clients, to let this emotion flow in your body and out. And once you are more centered, you can ask the universe for guidance. You can ask the universe for solutions. And it helps you, because society is going to impose on us its views, its fears, its models of how things should be. And sometimes it works for our kids, but I have, for example, an ADHD son who doesn't fit in that rigid model. And you have to trust and see the individuality of each kid and use that to guide yourself in your decision making. So you are accessing something that's higher than what you've been taught, what people show you, what we see on TV, something higher, and really customize it to the spiritual being that you have in front of you, who's your kid, and guide them and put the rails for them to be protected and to really express their individuality in the world. That's how I kind of describe it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love all that you're sharing about that. It is challenging as a parent to not try to control your child and to let them be their own person. It's hard.
Oh, yeah.
One of my very favorite quotes is Albert Einstein's, when he said, "The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or hostile universe." And when I let that sink in for me as a mom and as a person, and I decided to lean in and trust that there's a greater plan.
Yeah.
And that, the only person that I can control is myself. Things are working for me and for my family. And when I can see that, a burden was lifted, and I was able to be more present and playful with my kids and not worry so much about everything else.
Yes, completely. And I was taught with like kicks in the rear because I had my daughter who stopped going to school in her senior year because there were some social issues. Well, there were some problems with other kids, and she just decided to not go to school. And the school didn't contact me through email, and she blocked the school number on my phone. I didn't know. So I had 2 months go by, and I didn't know that she was not going to school because I left for work in the morning. The school is at a walking distance, and she was supposed to walk and go every day. I never knew she was not going until it got to a point where I actually was contacted by the school on my email. And I realized that she wasn't going to school. I had to transfer her to an online school and really find an online school in like the span of 2-3 weeks for her to be able to catch up on everything. It was half online and half at the school for her to catch up all her credits and be able to graduate. So it's not something that's, society would tell you they have to go in a high school and stay there. So I had to adapt. I had to trust. I had to be able to support her, even though I didn't agree but I saw that it was the best for her. And that's why I think most of the things I've learned in my life, maybe not most, but a lot of difficult things I learned through kicks in the rear because I had to adapt and figure out solutions.
Yes. Yes, going into some of the most challenging parts of our lives is when we can go in with that idea of there's a gift in here somewhere that it's meant for us to grow in some way. It helps helps to ease it. Yes.
It does help. Even when you can't see it in the moment, because sometimes in the moment you're still triggered and emotional. But when you look at it a little bit after, once you come back to your center, you realize that it had a purpose and something else was to emerge of it.
Yes. So my oldest is 8 years old, so I have yet to experience the teenage years. You hear about the hard parts, but I would love to hear your wisdom there. But I also love to know, what are some of the things you treasure about raising teenagers and young adults?
Well, I love the part when I see my kids' wisdom through what they say or what they are interested by, or like I was a coach for a very long time. So my kids grew up with coaching and they grew up with energy tools and all that stuff. And they seemed pretty resistant to it. And one day I was listening to my oldest talk to her friend, and she didn't know I could hear. And I realized that she was coaching her with the same thing that she was pretending not to want to listen. But I heard her say things that I've been telling them for such a long time. So I was like, yes. And another thing, when she turned 17, they had to prepare a project in class about the American dream and success. And she picked me, and I was like, you see me as a success? I'm not a millionaire. I'm not. And she said, Mom, you came in a country as an immigrant with barely anything, and you divorced, and you are raising us by yourself, and you're still, because I started developing my business on the side of my main job for a long time. And she told me, and you still follow your dreams. So to me, it's an inspiration. You inspire me. So of course, I started crying because as a mom, you hear something like that. It's like so heartwarming. So things like that, or um, I'm trying to think because there are so many things. I love taking road trips with them, and they make me discover music that I wouldn't necessarily listen to. Of course, no cursing and all that because I don't like it, but new style of musics and new artists. Yeah, all the things that they really discover themselves and share with me. And when the love is there, like for Mother's Day, now my kids cook because I'm French, so we cooked a lot at home, and they picked up on it, especially my middle daughter. So for Mother's Day, they prepare a breakfast for me. And all those moments when we share love and I can see the beauty of who they are becoming. I love that.
Oh, those are all wonderful gifts.
Yes.
There's so many challenges as a mom, but there's so many gifts too.
Yeah. But the challenge is, like you said, they make you grow. And when we remove the the junk that we carry in our mind about how things should be. First of all, there is a sentence that I removed from my vocabulary, and it shouldn't be that way. Because it can be it could magnify the challenge when you think things like that. And really, when you think about it, nothing should or shouldn't be a way or another. It just is. And when we start selecting more constructive state of minds and more supporting, sorry, Franglish, supporting thoughts, it becomes easier even in the challenges with the teens.
Yes, the saying that it shouldn't be that way is adding resistance to what's right in front of us, which makes it harder. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Let's hit pause for a moment so I can share one of my very favorite things with you. We live in the age of technology. We connect with others through our phones. We schedule our days, take pictures, and even look for recipes on our phones. Why not use your cell phone as a beautiful reminder to take a breath, smile, or pause and practice gratitude? I have created some wallpapers with uplifting mantras to bring a little more beauty and light to your day. Get the bundle and choose your favorite one to create a lovely background for your phone and bring a smile to your face throughout the day. I love adding intentional and beautiful touches to my day, and I hope these wallpapers will brighten your day. You can find the link to get your gorgeous bundle of wallpapers in the show notes. So, if there's a mom listening right now and she's ready to trust the universe and co-parent with the universe, what can she do to start making that shift?
She can, first of all, to reinforce even that faith, you can go back into your path and see every time in life when you received something from life that you did not expect, whether it be a solution, you're meeting a person. I had in my life several jobs fall on my lap. Things where life just gave to you without you even having to really put a big effort into it. Or things that the solutions were delivered because you asked. So take notes of that. And then start work with your emotional state. Learn more emotional mastery. Learn to navigate your emotions where you get the message. Let's say you're angry, be angry. Be angry. Write. I do a lot of times with my clients when they're mad at someone, I have them write a letter about that. And of course, not mail it, we shred it after. But let all this emotion flow from you to the paper, or take a kitchen towel and slap a wall. Be leaving the emotion in your body, because anything you're going to repress will be in your way later to be centered and connecting. And the third thing is connect into silence, into prayer, whatever your version of prayer is. A few minutes of silence every day. And during the day, I have on my phone reminders to breathe. Breathe and come back to the moment, because we lose ourselves. Life is so fast. We lose ourselves, especially as moms, with our to-do lists, with everything we have to do. And we forget to be present. Because to get guidance, to really become aware of it, you have to be present. So cultivate presence and silence to get in vibration. Energy for me is like an elevator. So if you want to be matched with solutions, you were talking about Albert Einstein. He also said, and I'm going to paraphrase, that you can't find the solution at the same level as the problem. So make an intentional action or practice to vibrate at the level of the solution, which is not worry, which is not fear. It is more like a surrender. It is more like trust. So try to, even I have moms take a notepad and write down a list of anything that can shift them back to peace, to love. Because when you are activated, when you are afraid, your frontal cortex, the brain in the front of your head, doesn't function normally because the blood flow is directed toward your limbs. So it's called the fight and flight reaction. It's even fight, flight, or freeze. So your stress center in your brain is activated and your nervous system is on alert, and you can't be resourceful in that time. So you have to find ways. And whether it is tapping, I use tapping a lot and people can find information about that, or breathing deep from your nose. And then follow up with an action like for me, gardening. Gardening centers me. It can be dancing. Belly dance is amazing. It puts you in your feminine energy. It can be drawing. It can be singing. It can be calling a friend. Whatever is bringing you back to your center. Keep a list of that, because in those moments where your brain doesn't function normally, you can refer to that list and say, oh, yes, here, I'm going to pick that. And today I'm going to do that, because sometimes you don't feel like dancing. You feel like writing. You feel like slapping a wall, like I was saying. Have a list for you to how is it called when the airplane is off course? You readjust your trajectory to realign yourself.
Oh, I love that. Those are great tips. And you mentioned using energy. Can you talk a bit more about that and how you would use energy in your parenting?
So, you know how teenagers sometimes don't want to hear your advice. There is a phase where they think you don't know anything. And sometimes it makes us very irritated, but they don't want our help. And in a way, it's a good thing, because that means they are becoming independent. We did our job and they're starting to become more independent from you. When you have a kid like this, and I've done that with my son, he didn't want my help. I saw that he was struggling with something. With some of his friends, didn't want to tell me what it was. You go sit down, put a hand on your heart, and really connect to the energy of your kid. And the most simple thing to do is to send love, because it will be received. I have in my membership some tapping sessions where you connect with the energy of your child, and you literally have the intention to tap on their triggers, their irritation through your body and your energy. And the practices like this have a huge impact. The other thing that I just did an episode in my podcast about, for Mother's Day, accessing the higher guidance of your ancestors and your guides to help you raise your kids. And you can go to a place that is safe in your mind. Create your own sanctuary where your guides and your ancestors and anything you believe in, some people believe in angels, some people believe in other things, where they can visit you and bring you guidance and also bring you love. Because sometimes moms give, and they don't receive enough. So learning to receive that way. Those are the two practices or solutions that I use myself on a regular basis.
I love that. And I did listen to your Mother's Day episode, and it was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
So my mom was a single mom, and so I don't know the challenges firsthand, but I witnessed some of the struggles that she faced. And I imagine that being a single mom can, have added pressure and some unique challenges, and may make finding time for yourself difficult. Do you have any tips you can share for bringing self-care into your days as a single mom?
Yes. Breathing, I mentioned that. You can do that anywhere, anytime. And moms always tell me, I don't have time to send love to myself. So, when you put your lotion on your body, then just do it more consciously when your hand is going, let's say, on your arm and rubbing that lotion in, send love to your body. Send love to your cells, because our cells are responsive to love. And thank your arm and your hand for everything it does for you. Same thing with your legs. You can do that for every part of your body, practicing gratitude without really adding anything in your schedule if you don't have time, but adding just the intention. Another thing is when you throw something away, let's say you throw a piece of furniture or you give some clothes away, affirm that you let go of, if you give it away to an organization or a charity, affirm that whoever is supposed to benefit from that will get it. And I am creating space in my life for new gifts from life, for new to come in my life, for me to be even happier than I am. So things like that don't add anything to your schedule, but the intention, as you know, energy respond to intention. So you will draw people and things in your life that way, and you will receive the love with the body lotion. Your cells will benefit from that.
Yes. Oh, I totally agree with that. It doesn't always have to take extra time. It doesn't have to look like going to the spa to get your self-care. It can be intention and being in the moment with whatever you're doing that brings love to you. I love those. Those are beautiful.
Thank you.
I would love to know, what is one of your favorite ways to practice self-care?
Meditation. I love meditating. It's like a candy for my soul.
Yes.
And when I feel that, because as a single mom, like I mentioned, you may not have the love available to you when you need it. So what I love doing is sitting, when I go into my meditation, or even not meditation, sitting quietly on a chair and opening your heart and asking the universe to fill your heart with love. And when you start doing that, you will feel love coming to you. Another thing that I do is I love nature. So I make sure that I'm connected to nature on a regular basis, even if it's only in my own backyard, and walking barefoot in the grass and connecting to the trees, listening to the birds, making sure in the morning before I start my day that I meditate and I do affirmations in writing, or I sit quietly in the backyard listening to the birds. Very simple things like that help me stay sane in a crazy life.
Yes. Oh, nature is such a powerful way to reconnect with yourself.
It is. It is.
Oh, thank you for everything you've shared. Are there any last thoughts you'd like to share with us?
The thing that I want to tell moms is be gentle with yourself. Don't try to not criticize yourself. We are doing, and even if you make mistakes, we are always doing the best with what we know in the moment. Because I spent a lot of time criticizing and bullying myself really in the past. And this is not necessary. You're going to become the best mom that you can be by practicing self-love and accepting who you are fully. Because when you do that, even if you have moments of like your kids will see you, I know we come from a Mediterranean background, so our tone can rise really fast. When your kids see that you're making an effort to remove that from your life, and even if that happens sometimes, you're okay with who you are, it gives them permission to be who they are with their own flaws. And that's extremely important.
Yes. So it's not only a gift you're giving yourself, but the next generation. And there's a ripple effect there too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that was so lovely. Will you share with us where we can find you online?
Yes, you can find me at singlemomsdoingitall.com. And I have everything there. I have freebies for moms. I have my podcast. I have a membership, everything. They can connect with me just to ask a question, no pressure at all. I always try to help moms wherever I can. And they'll find my Facebook too. I'm under Your French Life Coach, or a Facebook group called Single and Doing It All. You can find me with that.
Oh, perfect. I love your beautiful spirit, and thank you for sharing your insights and wisdom with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me here. It's really, I thank you. You have such a beautiful, gentle energy, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining me, Mama. I'm over here giving you a big virtual hug. I love spending this time with you. You are amazing for showing up and carving out this space to nourish your soul. If you are loving the Selfcare Mom podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. And if you're ready to start your mornings feeling calm and energized, get the Kickstart Your Calm Morning Guide, a self-care ritual for moms, as a free gift when you join the Selfcare Mom community. Head over to soulcaremom.com/kickstart and enter your email address to get your free gift and start feeling like a calm mom today. Sending you so much love, Mama.